It's a tale as old as time, Gar. Disney cheaply cashing in on one of their beloved classics. Hello there and welcome to Magic by Design. Christmas has come very, very early this week as we review the first straight-to-video Beauty and the Beast sequel, subtitled The Enchanted Christmas, first released in 1997. But before we give you the gift of our review, let me get the introductions out of the way first. My name is Ken and I am joined, as always, by my co-host / brother, Garrett. Gar, how are you?
More like tale as old as crime, am I right?
Yeah, this is... How dare you name this Beauty and the Beast?
This is a hideous thing. It's like, listen, I think last week when you told me that the name of this movie was Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas, I was just like, oh no. Because when these things are named after seasons, you know that they are the laziest of lazy cash-ins to make some money, unless, of course, you're talking about Muppet Christmas Carol, in which that is probably the best movie ever made. And for the most part, all of these Disney things, when they're just like, it's Halloween frickin' Lion King, it's Spring Winnie the Pooh, it's Christmas Beauty and the Beast, it's like, nope, this is going to be abysmal and cheap and lazy and a cash-in on an existing intellectual property so they can make some money. And that is exactly what this movie is.
And you know the thing that bothers me? Like, it's always bothered me that you're bringing out sequels to these beloved classics. You know, why not try or either, put in the resources, make them a theatrical release. I don't mind if you're going to have these, Gar, but don't brand them as sequels. Brand them as a special or as a VHS event or whatever you want, but don't call it a sequel because it just draws unfavourable comparisons.
Yeah, the VHS cover says, the all-new movie. It's like, oh, sure. It's not even new. It's set within the events of the original Beauty and the Beast in ways that don't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, they retcon a lot of it, but the end of this movie especially really doesn't jive with what happens with the rest of the first movie.
Literally, the castle starts collapsing.
We see no evidence of that in the first movie.
No, and the first movie covers the entire events from when Belle is kidnapped to when he is turned back into the regular man.
Whose name is Adam, I found out.
Not accepting that. His name is still Beast. And they do not cover any of these events. Do not include any of these characters. What is happening here? Ugh, god damn it. And we just did 2 of these already. So we did the second Aladdin movie, cheap, lazy cash-in. Third Aladdin movie, they actually tried. Good job, thumbs up. And then it's like, let's do a Beauty and the Beast one. Should we do a cheap, lazy cash-in or actually try? Let's go for cheap, lazy cash-in.
And Gar, we'll talk about the third one later, but I don't have high hopes.
Do we have to?
We will. Following the success of Return of Jafar, Disney opened a satellite studio in Canada to work on straight-to-video features and some theatrical projects. I think the idea was that they'd cut their teeth with these DVD movies or these VHS movies and possibly be trusted to take point on some theatrical sequels eventually.
That never happened, did it?
No.
I guess the Toon Studios made Lilo and Stitch, didn't they?
Yeah.
Which isn't this team, but it is a different team.
Yeah. I can't remember what episode we covered this in, but this closed.
Ah, well.
Yeah. Work on a Beauty and the Beast sequel commenced in spring 1996, with some animation being completed in Australia, and they also outsourced to a third party in Taiwan.
Ah, so it's not even like that. It's just like to get it over the line. Spring 96, make it, get it out the door, manufactured and on shelves by November 1997. And that's all we need to do. We don't need to try. We don't need to write something good or interesting, something that actually tells us more about these characters, because this film tells us absolutely nothing about these characters. Mostly because it's set within the timeline of the first, which inherently hamstrings them because they can't do anything. Like, they can't have a payoff that's not set within the timeline of the original Beauty and the Beast, because we see how those events climax long after this. So there's literally nothing you can do here other than it's another 70 minutes with these characters.
In which they're probably in the same place, if not a tiny bit further on afterwards.
And I don't even think they're further on. The Beast character in this movie is so weird, especially at the start, where it's like, this isn't the same man I watched in the 1991 Beauty and the Beast movie. He's a different Beast. He's all goofy and stupid.
And love struck. Maybe, you could make an argument for the fact that they're falling in love, but you don't see that in the first film either.
No, he doesn't become stupid.
He's a bit of a buffoon, much like the Sultan in the Aladdin movies. As you said, Garrett, it was released on VHS in November 1997, selling 7.6 million copies, so a huge success.
Yeah, made lots of money. And again, if you think that these VHSs go for about $20 a pop, so that's about $140 million.
It may surprise you to hear that critics were not too fond of the film drawing hugely unfavourable comparisons to the original. And most say your kids will like it, but rent it, don't buy it.
I don't even think kids would like it. I guess they will, because it's like bright colours and songs. Not even good songs, we'll get to that. But, like, it's so insubstantial. It's like so horribly unremarkable in every way, except for the fact the animation is better than the two Aladdin VHS ones.
I was going to mention this, Garrett. This is the first Disney direct-to-video animated film to use digital ink and paint. You can definitely see the difference from the Aladdin sequels. Much more visually consistent, stronger colours, clean lines. Not quite theatrical quality in terms of detail, but closer.
Because it's interesting. I think very high quality hand-drawn animation is better than very high quality digital animation, but the flip side of that is low quality digital animation is better than low quality hand-drawn animation.
Yeah, because it just looks shaggy and unfinished, doesn't it? The low quality hand animation.
Yeah, because to do hand-drawn animation, you do have to do it painstakingly, like frame by frame, each individual detail. It takes a lot of time. So when it's done very well, like say in something like Sleeping Beauty, which is I think probably their best hand-drawn animation, or even the original Beauty and the Beast, sensational looking movie. It looks spectacular. It looks amazing. You can see all the details. It's and there's a tactileness to it that feels really neat. As opposed to like the best digital animation, you're like, it's digital animation, so it's a little like characterless at times, even though at its very, very, very best. As opposed to lower quality digital animation, where it's like, it's fine. It's better than like the frames not moving for a few seconds.
Well, I found myself drifting off in this movie because none of it grabbed me. Like, it was just window dressing in front of my eyes. But at the same time,
it was never unpleasant.
Exactly. The first Aladdin sequel had me wanting to scratch my eyes out at points, and it took me out of the film. Whereas this, it was much closer to the original.
Though there is some 3D animation. A lot of 3D animation, actually, really.
Yes, there is the character of Forte, who's the villain in this movie.
Who's entirely 3D.
Yeah, which is very jarring. It's that late 90s 3D.
And he's the only thing in the movie that is 3D. So,
except some windows and architectural features.
And some panning shots, yeah. But like, this character is entirely in 3D. So you only really see him by himself, which is a weird problem. And I guess the design of the character kind of ensures that anyway, because he's a giant house organ. So you only ever see him by himself.
Where was he joined it? Well, we'll get into this character.
No, we do see where he is. He's in the room next to the bedroom where the rose is.
Yeah.
There's a door there, and that door apparently leads into a giant foyer that has a giant organ at the back of it. And that's where he is. We do see shots of Beast sitting in front of the fire during the first movie, though, don't we?
Yeah, we do, yeah.
So we learn that that's the same room, I believe. They've retconned that. So that this is his Forte room. And like the crux of this movie is that Forte is like the evil presence in his ear, kind of riling up his darker instincts and kind of shoving down his instinctive sense of hope.
As Tim Curry is wanted to do.
Yes, Tim Curry is known for shoving down our instinctive sense of hope. But so it's weird how, as mentioned, not only do they destroy parts of the castle by the end of this movie, which we don't see at all in the original, but like there's this whole character that they introduce that explains why the Beast is so sullen and angry. And also, I don't understand Forte's motivations all that well either. We'll talk about this when we get to the story. Finish the animation first.
Saying that, Gar, I think there's still a beat off in terms of the character movement for me at times.
Oh yeah, it's like it's professional, but it's fine.
Like, they'll skip a frame if they can get away with it, you know? Also, it's one of the weakest uses of the storybook motif for me. It looked like a low-quality PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, it was real bad. It was real bad. Because the worst part of it is, like, you see Beast holding the storybook in his hands, and then you see him flicking through the pages, and they're blank. You see them, and you see that they're blank. You see that they couldn't be bothered animating these individual pages until they do the actual storybook sequence, where they do like a close-up of the pages, and it looks blurry and weird and inconsistent, and it's not good. But the fact that like you see him flicking through the pages of the book, and they're blank, it's like, how can you be that lazy?
But to your point, during the story song, it's all blurry, and stuff isn't animated, it just floats in the frame. It's just so bad.
And like, I would be fine if the lazy step there is that you never see him flick the pages. You know? That's the lazy step there, where it's like, that maintains like the illusion that this is a storybook, but it's the cheaper way of doing it. So you just see him holding the book, and you don't see the actual pages turning. But no, they show a shot of him turning the pages, and they show that there's nothing on the pages. They are blank white pages. Why show that to us? Like, as I said, there's a very easy way to do that. You just show him holding a book in front of him, and then you don't see the pages. Then you don't have to animate them, but you also don't have to shatter the illusion that they're actual pages.
Yeah, so anytime they integrated 3D in this movie, besides Forte, it looked a bit blurry and weird. In that storybook sequence, as we said, where she's writing the story. Very bad.
And then at the end of the movie, when you see him reading the story, it's the same thing.
Yes. Moving on here to the story, Gar.
Oy.
The vision for the sequel was initially a direct follow-up where Avenant, Gaston's younger brother, seeks revenge on Belle and the prince, who is named Adam, apparently, which is not a French name, using sorcery to turn the prince back into the beast and framing Belle for it.
Oh, no, that might be worse, though. Because I was kind of on board that, like, oh, it's an actual sequel, but then it's like, and he turns into a beast again! It's like, nope.
It happened again. The plot was changed, but these elements were present in Forte, who did not want the beast to turn back into a prince. You can go now, Gar, on his motivations.
Why?
Well, it's said in the movie that he was on the fringes when they were human. He wasn't appreciated, which we see in a flashback scene. And then he's like, since he's all broody and angry now, he appreciates his art. So he's in the king's ear, so he doesn't want to be sent back to the shadows. So he actually prefers being cursed.
But he's chained to a wall.
Yeah.
Which he gives out about. He's like, oh, I'm chained to a wall, Tim Curry voice. And he's very mad about this. So he prefers the existence in which he is an organ chained to a wall, but the beast will listen to him every now and again, as opposed to an existence where he can be like a real functioning human being.
Yeah, it's shaky at best, Gar.
I think that's the description of this entire film's plot. It's shaky at best. Like the big dramatic crux of the movie is Forte convinces Belle to go out into the forest to get a Christmas tree. And that is the moment at which Beast feels betrayed because she left the house and she broke her word. And it's like, that's shaky at best.
And, like, if you were so angry at her, you could have just let her die in that frozen lake.
He goes out and finds her. How does he know where she was?
I don't know, maybe he followed the tracks like Lumiere and Cogsworth did.
I guess that makes sense. And then saves her from drowning underneath the water, only to throw her in a dungeon for the remainder of her life.
The thing is, though, she nearly gets away with it, and then the rope off the Christmas tree wraps around her foot, and then she gets pulled under the water again.
Yeah, because they're walking over an ice thing, and then we'll talk about the tin whistle character in a second. Oh,
It's a fife, Gar?
It's a tin whistle.
All right.
But he blows his tin whistle and the horse gets startled and then breaks the ice and they fall under the ice. But as mentioned, like, they're going through this deep and dangerous forest, and like the threat here is broken ice. And as you said, like, they're trying to get the Christmas tree, so they get this big, fancy-looking, majestic Christmas tree, which is tied to the back of the horse, but then the horse breaks the ice and the Christmas tree goes below the ice. But then the rope breaks for some reason. It's a very flimsy rope, except when it falls around the ankles of Belle, which is the strongest rope in the history of humanity. But that rope conveniently wraps its way around Belle's leg in a way that ties a knot, I guess?
And drags her under the ice.
And drags her under the ice so that Beast has to come and save her. And
maybe the rope was sentient, Gar. He's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Pulling me.
The rope is a person. Oh, that makes sense. Because there's multiple times in this movie where, like, Beast will trash some and he'll break a plate. And then you're like, he just murdered a guy.
By the lore of this movie, that was a person, Gar.
Yeah, he just killed that plate. And we know these plates are sentient. We see them move.
So maybe the rope was trying to get revenge because you're like, you never use me to rope things.
Yeah, how dare you rope me into this dangerous mission?
He's going to be the villain in the third film.
God, but yeah, like everything about this story is just flimsy and pointless.
Talking about flimsy, Gar, they also retcon the curse to having happened at Christmas.
Yeah, because the Beast is like, I hate Christmas. He's like less nuanced about his disgust of Christmas than Ebenezer Scrooge. And he's like, I hate it. Christmas is my least favorite time of year. Does Belle not know about how I feel about Christmas? And yeah, as it turns out that he turned the old woman with the rose away at the door on Christmas Day when he was very angry about getting a storybook as a present.
Yeah. In fairness, they don't specify in the first film, but it's still very convenient.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like we've decided to... And like, again, if it was a thing that illuminated the character in an interesting way, it would be like, oh, you know, that's actually an interesting thing to do. But it's like, no, it's just a flimsy excuse for him to hate Christmas. God damn it.
I have a note here, Paul Rubens as Fife. I could have sworn it was the guy that does Piglet.
He does sound very Piglet. I hate this character, by the way.
Paul Rubens, as we know, is famous for playing Pee Wee Herman.
Because, like, we're supposed to feel some amount of sympathy for this character.
And he gets his redemption at the end, where he gets to be the main music guy.
Even though he still betrays them for the entire movie. Like, the entire crux of this character is that Forte, the evil organ, has promised Fife, the small tin whistle, a solo in their musical that they're going to do, I guess.
Just the two of them? I don't know.
Yeah, so he promises him a solo because he's all left out on his own the whole time, so he'll get his solo and his time to shine by himself. And that's why he goes along with all of Forte's like evil plans to ruin Beast's life and make everybody else miserable. Which he does so with like a certain amount of glee multiple times, I must say. It's not like tentative. It's not like, remorseful. He's like, hey, I have foiled the scheme. Forte will be delighted.
Yeah, so I suppose he is being manipulated.
But he does nothing to earn his redemption. What does he do to earn his redemption?
I guess he shows a bit of remorse and then he tries to help, but he doesn't do anything really.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything. He doesn't have like a moment where he's like, no, I'm disobeying you, Forte. Because like there is a moment where he's like, Forte, Belle's pretty nice. We shouldn't be doing this. And that's like the depth of like the redemption you get for Fife in this movie. And then there's that moment when they all turn back into humans. Well, they actually flash forward to a period in which they're all turned back into humans, because the film starts with them being told to turn back into humans, and then they're telling this story that happened during Beauty and the Beast. So when we flash forward again to them all being turned back into humans, and they're like, Fife, take us away, and he plays a musical number. It's like, no, he hasn't earned that.
Also, I think it's really funny that they're much less interesting as humans, so they had to do a flashback story.
I like the character designs as humans, I must say.
They are analogous to the characters as household items.
But not in a way that feels like cartoonish. It's actually a way that feels like modestly organic.
Yeah, so that is good, but I like how they're like, we're not going to want to watch them as humans. We want to watch them as Cogsworth and Lumiere, the candlestick and clock.
Yeah, but I like how Cogsworth looks like vaguely clock shaped without being as like a cartoon caricature of a clock as a human. He just has that like round face that looks like clock like, and I thought that was pretty neat. I assume that's in the first film. I just didn't pay enough attention to it.
But we don't see much of them as humans because it ends quite quickly after that.
Yeah, we don't see much of them as humans here either. So like Forte, I don't think evil plans are his forte.
Yeah, his final stand makes no sense because he's like, well, I want to be the king's only confidant, but if I can't, they all must die.
Yeah, we're going to bring the entire house down, presumably including on top of myself.
Yeah, so he plays music real loud, which causes the castle to crumble, which actually makes me question how structurally sound this castle is.
Or just how integral this... Actually, yeah, if this organ is so integral to like the structure of the house, surely Beast pulling it out should cause like the roof to collapse at the very least.
Now, Gar, he uses magic as a weapon here.
Yeah, he has magic music.
Yeah, which only shows up halfway through the film.
Where he's like writing these songs, and as he writes them, like the music notes come to life and can attack people.
Yeah, but like my major question here is, Gar, as you said, to stop him, the Beast rips out his keyboard, right? Mm-hmm. So like, two things, right? In equivalence, what part of him is that as a human? And also, they leave him there in the rubble, right? So obviously when the curse is broken, he turns back into a human. So I imagine they stumble into that room eventually, forgetting that he was there, and just see a corpse that's pulled into pieces, right?
Yeah, they just see like a dismembered corpse of Forte lying on the floor, and like Chip is like, Mom, I left something in this room. Ah!
Because like the curse is broken. Clearly he's going to turn back into a human, but he's been disemboweled at the very least, so... yeah.
It's a good time, isn't it? Also, how many people are in this goddamn house?
Yeah, because like they have characters who are represented as household items. So we see the Christmas decorations are also alive, and we have like dozens of baubles, if not hundreds.
Yeah, they're all people. And we go down into the basement as well, and we see like the steam thing. Boiler, that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, the boiler, but then every like a stoker and all of those axes, they're all people too. It's like, how many people lived in the grounds of this castle?
Like, literally every single spoon and fork is a person, it seems. So.
Yeah, there's like literal hundreds. What were they all doing? How is he paying for them all?
Well, I don't think he's paying for them all.
Well, I assume he was. He's a very wealthy prince or whatever.
Well, they are bound to serve him, aren't they? Maybe they get room and board,
but how does he afford all that?
Where'd they get all the rooms? Where'd they all sleep?
Well, it's a big castle.
It's a pretty big castle, I guess.
They can probably pile in. By the way, the most notable of those new characters is Angelique, the angel on top of the tree. Horrific character.
Really annoying, yeah.
She's just
an actual French person, though, in fairness.
Well, there you go. But, like, she's really, really annoying. She's, like, high-pitched and entitled. And it's like, I told you so! It's like, shut up. Go away.
I think they show her at the start of the film as a human. Just to plant it in there that, yeah, she was there all along. Don't question her. What her job was? Christmas decorator?
Yeah, what is her job?
She doesn't do anything else the rest of the year. She just sits in her castle waiting.
What do the sentient Christmas baubles do? Are they, like, decorators as well?
At least the toy soldiers made sense. They could be actual soldiers.
Guards.
So yeah, this film makes no sense whatsoever.
This film is stupid, and not the good kind of stupid, because I'd be on board with it being like the good kind of stupid. It's just they didn't think about anything in this movie. Like, we put more time and consideration to every single plot element of this movie than they ever did. Where it's just like, Beast, Christmas, hates Christmas, evil Organ, Organ ruin Christmas, Beast kill Organ.
Plunk this story in the middle of the original story in a way that makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's just a stupid movie. Also, Forte's character design, when you see him as a human, he literally looks like a snake.
Yeah.
He's just like, I am evil.
I can't believe they didn't twig that he was a bad guy.
God damn it, this film is bad.
And Gary, sometimes these things can be saved by the songs, but not here.
Oh, the songs are so... Actually, the songs might be the worst part of the movie.
The original score and songs were composed by Rachel Portman, with lyrics by Don Black. The film songs were recorded live with an orchestra similar to the first film.
You wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Particularly, like, the thing that's really bad about these songs are the lyrics. They're really bad.
We have stories by Bell. My only note here was very generic and nonsensical lyrics.
They're just like, they're written in the same way I'd probably write a song, where it's like tree, glee, knee, victory, you know? That's how I'd write a song without any like nuance. It's just like, how do I rhyme words? So it's like dove and love, that rhymes, so let's try and make that work. And they're really songs that tell you nothing about these characters. They're not even like catchy. They're not even, I don't remember a single one of them. We literally just watched this movie.
As Long as There's Christmas is like the big song of the movie, sung by Bell and cast. I wrote down meh.
Yeah, it's the one that has a reprise. It's like
just 3 reprises, including the end sequence.
Yeah, it's bad. It's just bad.
Don't Fall in Love by Forte, Tim Curry.
Might be the worst Disney villain song.
It sucks. It's really below the talents of Tim Curry, and he's done some good villain songs.
And Tim Curry is kind of trying in this movie, I think. You can't tell he's playing a 3D animated organ, but he does seem like he's at least given it as much Tim Curry as he can give it, but this film is below him.
And then we have a cut above the rest with Lumiere, Cogsworth and Bell. It's like a really, really short song with barely any, like, it's kind of teasing that's setting up to be like a Be Our Guest type of thing, but it's very, very scantily animated, and it ends after 30 seconds. It felt like an unnecessary third act song that doesn't have anything to do with the story to pad out the runtime.
Yeah, it's just like, we don't have anything for Cogsworth and Lumiere in this movie, so let's give them a little musical jingle at the end of the movie just to make them feel involved. People like to be our guests, we kind of have to. It's like I think these songs are worse than both of the Aladdin movies. The first one's not great.
Yeah, it's not great at all. There's also a version of Deck the Halls in this movie, Gar. Beauty and the Beast is set in the 17th century in France. While the melody dates back to the 16th century, the lyrics were not created until 1862, so this film is also historically inaccurate.
Well, to be fair, Ken, we do learn in this movie whose song is Deck the Halls.
It's Forte's, is it?
Yeah, it's Forte's song written for Bell. So he writes the lyrics to Deck the Halls in this movie.
Yeah,
that's where it came from. That's actually historically accurate. It was a sentient piano actually came to life and wrote the lyrics to Deck the Halls.
I like how they still sing it even though... Well, no, they sing it before he plays it, though.
No, they sing it... That's a flash forward.
Is it?
They sing it in the opening scene.
Oh, yeah.
Which is in the future, which is after Forte has written it.
It's like, where do we know this song from? It's like, oh yeah, that dead guy.
Oh yeah, the evil piano. The guys whose corpse we found in the freaking piano room. And then there was just the sheet lyrics, the sheet music there for this Deck the Halls song. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It's a shame he died.
Hard to read with all the blood and everything, but...
And when we started singing it, the lyrics started coming to life and attacking people. But other than that, I think it's a pretty good song.
So, overall, music just really stinks in this movie.
Horrible. Really bad.
And you won't be surprised to hear, Garrett, there's no real legacy to this movie or points of note. It was nominated for 5 Annie Awards, winning none.
It's bad. There's bad music, bad storytelling. The animation, step up from the other 2 VHS movies, step below, obviously, any of the theatrical releases. Story, hideous. Character work, hideous. Point to exist, none. It's like... God damn it.
And part of me is like, is this film for me? Maybe it's aimed at kids and especially girls.
Don't make me do the rant again, Ken.
But then I came around to the fact that we talked about this originally and Beauty and the Beast is for everyone.
Yeah. Don't make me do the rant that children's entertainment doesn't have to be thoughtless, lowest common denominator bullshit. It can actually be both for children and good. It doesn't have to be for children and bad. For children does not inherently mean bad.
And you can have a princess film that appeals to girls, sells dolls, but also appeals to a wider audience. Tangled is a very good example. Sleeping Beauty.
Most of Disney's movies are very good examples.
Beauty and the Beast itself, of course. So, Gar, if I were you, and I have a feeling we'll be saying this next week too, I'd pretend this film doesn't exist.
This film is below Angela Lansbury. It is below Tim Curry. It is below even Paul Rubens.
Yeah.
It's below Haley Joel Osment, who does the voice of Chip, by the way.
Yeah, Chip is replaced by Haley Joel Osment.
Who, this is right before he'd go on to be a big dude, right? When was Sixth Sense was 99, so yeah.
Yeah.
I guess Forrest Gump had already happened, so he was already in the zeitgeist. But I would have thought like Sixth Sense and like Pay It Forward and AI are the films that are probably the films people most remember him as being like the guy.
Not Pay It Forward, Gar?
I mentioned Pay It Forward.
That film is sad.
Isn't there like WCW in that movie?
I think there is, yeah.
Yeah, which is the only reason I remember it. But yeah, it's like, it's below these actors who do seem to well, actually, like, you know, Angela Lansbury is barely in the movie. She has like 7 lines.
And like, you know, you can't blame her, it's a payday.
So it's below all these people, and you should consider it below you. Don't watch it. Don't even like listen to the songs. It's not worth it.
Yeah. Just watch the original, that's what I would say. Alright, Gar, I think it's finally time to put Christmas behind us for another year, and this podcast behind us forever.
There's probably going to be more like random Christmas spin-offs, right?
Gar, let's not upset ourselves any further today. You know the score by now. New episodes of Magic by Design land every Monday, where all magical podcasts are downloaded.
God, we haven't even gone half an hour.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Like, some of these bad movies, you can go a really long time ranting about it, or just not a long time at all, because you just don't want to talk about how bad it was.
This film isn't even interesting enough to bury. It's like not even good enough to talk about how bad it is for a prolonged period of time.
It just deserves to be thoroughly dismissed and left in the dust.
Stricken from the record.
Stop by our website at magicbydesign.buzzsprout.com to find a full list of podcast platforms. We are literally everywhere on the internet. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, you name it, we're on it. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. If you want to keep up with the latest from the show, you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/magicbydesignpod, on Twitter at magicdesignpod, and on Instagram at magicbydesignpod. Please do consider giving us a review on your podcast platform of choice. It won't always be this bad.
Yeah, give us a better review than we gave Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas.
You have to look at the title again to remember.
I did.
Share the podcast on your socials, or perhaps even recommend the show to a fellow Disney fan.
When I was looking for it on Disney Plus, I didn't remember the name, so I just typed Christmas in and tried to find it. Which, by the way, type the word Christmas into Disney Plus, and Muppet Christmas Carol is like the 9th option, which is disgusting. It should be the first thing you feed to people, Disney. What are you doing?
We would be very grateful, and remember, you can also now rate us on Spotify.
Yeah, give us 5 stars.
If you don't give us a 5-star review, we'll make you watch this movie again.
Yeah.
Join us next week when we look at the second Beauty and the Beast home video sequel, Belle's Magical World, which is, for all intents and purposes, Gar, a package movie.
How could you do this to me?
But until then, stay safe and remember, don't lose hope. If you do, you lose everything. But you will lose hope by watching this movie. Thanks for listening, and see you next week.